Hi, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. We hope everyone will enjoy this session purely based on plant-based and stay with us till end of the session today for great information regarding plant-based. I hope everyone is fine out there. Please be safe and stay home. We from Malaysian International Food and Beverage would like to introduce our future food webinar series to everyone, and I'm Jaspreet, the host for this afternoon. I would like to introduce our key speaker today, Mr. Ong Leng Hin, and also known as Mr. Alibaba, is a passionate advocate of the plant-based lifestyle. Mr. Alibaba is also the founder of Wonder Penguin, a local startup that offers high-quality, all-natural superfood with the mission of transforming the health of Malaysians.
Hi, Jess.
Yes, Wonder Penguin. I will just give an introduction regarding the Wonder Penguin. Wonder Penguin signature products, Wonder Muesli, premium oatmeal infused with 12 superfood ingredients, and Wonder Bar, an energy breakfast bar, have been featured by Yahoo News Mail and the Malay Mail in 2021. Isn't that amazing? Stay tuned till the end of session to find out more at Mr. Alibaba's presentation. Before that, let me have a quick intro on MIB, where it stands for Malaysian International Food and Beverage Trade Fair, where it is an opportunity to revitalize your business through an exclusive business-to-business platform with power-packed F&B services and solutions providers. It is whole event that gives positive circumstances to the international and local visitors and trades to experience the benefits. Thank you so much, Mr. Alibaba, for your time today. Before we end the session later, we will have a quick Q&A session with everyone. Please submit your question through the Q&A button below. Mr. Alibaba will love to answer any question related to plant-based. Without further delay, please join me in welcoming Mr. Alibaba. Hand over to you now.
Hi, thank you, Jess. Thank you, everyone, for joining me in this special plant-based webinar. For those who are meeting me for the first time, my name is Ong Leng Hin, or you can call me Alibaba. I'm the founder of Wonder Penguin, a local startup in Malaysia specializing in plant-based all-natural food. We are in the mission to want to inspire all Malaysians to be healthier. Okay, before we begin, right, I would like to thank MIFB for inviting me to speak on this plant-based food. I'm very glad that actually MIFB took the initiative to talk about the future food trend. So let me just bring out the slide. While waiting for the slides, right, I just want to get maybe put down in the chat box, why are we here, for those like participants, just the purpose, whether there is anything you want to find out, put in the Q&A that we should actually join in the Q&A session later. So, okay. Let me know if you can see the screen by hitting the chat. If you put a yes, if you can see this slide. Can you see me with the yellow background? All right, thanks, Jin. All right, I can see all the reply. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, again, my name is Alibaba. Let me share with you how I actually discover plant-based food. Before I started Wonder Penguin, right, I was actually holding a corporate role back at Nippon Paint based in Singapore. I was actually traveling around the world. Luckily, I've been to 25 countries so far. And one thing I like to do is to eat. We are all Malaysians, right? So makan is our big culture. So that's what I started to explore a lot of things. But then I realized, there are actually a lot of plant-based options when in the eateries or in the Western countries, they have a lot of these options. I realized this is a new trend and starting to picking up in the food scene, international food scene, because Western country tends to move a little bit faster. So I started to give it, a go back in 2016. So when I started this, I'm also an active cyclist. my friend always asks me the classic question when you talk about, plant-based food. Where do you get your protein? Where do you get your energy, since you're just eating in quote vegetables, right? So the real secret is eating all natural food, and I will share with you in this presentation. And how do you actually can get all this from plant-based food, right? So let's go to some of the benefit that actually proven to, if you are following a plant-based food lifestyle, right? It actually reduces the risk of, heart disease, high blood pressure, as well as diabetes. These are actually the things that are actually very already proven and backed up by science, So I can see questions coming in. So thanks for all the messages. We'll answer in the Q&A. So if you have any questions, put in the Q&A or put in the chat, and then Jas will actually pick it up, and then we'll discuss it over at the Q&A session later. Yeah. So these are actually well proven by science, And personally, I would like to, I just want to share about my own experience after starting this journey, right? Number one is actually improve immune system. Back in the days that I was holding a corporate role, I used to be very sick. I used to have a lot of inflammation, things like sinus and flu, to the extent of sometimes the hay fever, I have to take medical leave and I have to take a day off, because it's just like things are the things are dripping just on the keyboard, and it's very messy. So these are actually improved immune system is very important, especially in the recent times. And that has actually gone away. And then secondly, I realized I have a lot of energy. I work about 12 hours back in the corporate days. I work about 12 hours a day. And then on top of that, I actually go to gym at 5 a.m. in the morning before I head to work. So I started my work at 7:30, 12 hours, and at 7:30. So actually I have a lot of energy since I transitioned to a plant-based food diet. And then the bonus that I'm having is actually, I find that it's very easy to maintain a healthy weight. Because when it comes to plant-based food, you have a lot of fibers in your system, and actually is improving your gut health. Therefore, the number one is actually immune system is greatly improved. And then number two is actually the weight. I just lose weight. I just have a very healthy weight. So as you can see in myself over this presentation, and my skin has actually improved. I used to have a lot of acne because of the inflammation, from the typical diet that we have. Once I changed to plant-based food, I have a clearer and glossier skin nowadays. So I don't put any makeup. So this is actually my personal benefit that I can share with you guys. Yep. So just a question to the floor, right? A question to you. Do you think a person that eats vegetable can be a top athlete and become a world champion? So maybe just put a yes or no in the chat. I would like to know the response from the participants. Yes. Okay. Raj say yes, Chin say yes, and how about the others? So, all right. So let me just go to this slide, right? And if you look at it, it's actually, these are the very famous people in their own sports, like Lewis Hamilton, 6-time Formula One world champion, and then Novak Djokovic. These are actually a very, very famous name, and they are actually following a plant-based food lifestyle these are the names that they can perform really well. And then just to quote another two examples, Fiona Oakes and also Adam Hansen. These are actually their own discipline. One of them is actually four times marathon world record holder, and then Adam Hansen is a 20th Grand Tour in a row. Grand Tour in cycling, right? It's a big thing, right? Take for example the Tour de France is actually a 3-week race, and then they have actually another 2 races back in Italy as well as Spain. So he has been doing that for the past so many years, continuously in a row, 20 years. So actually they are just eating so-called the vegetables, right? Because we all think, when we talk about vegetables, people get scared off, do you get energies? And then these are actually the living person, in their own sports, doing very well as a professional, and then just they are doing at their very best. They can perform, they win races and everything. So go back just a little bit, like a common myth, right? Maybe you just in the chat box, you share with us, what are the common myths other than those listed here, like vegetables only, where do you get a protein? Where do you get your energy, right? Other than this, what else do you come across if you're exploring, plant-based? So maybe just put in the chat if you have anything. Calcium, okay, calcium. I think it's good. We'll answer this in the Q&A. Thank Raj. And then what else you have, you can put in the chat, and then we will discuss it later. Yeah. So okay. Let me just go to the slide. Anything else you can just drop. All right. So the common myth is not just only vegetables. People always mistaken that it's all about vegetables, and actually it is not. People talk about cold salad. It's not about 3 meals. I'm just having grass or vegetables for a meal. So the reality is not as scary as we think, because sometimes the very first time when I was first started in 2016, I'm here to share my own experience. When I started, I look online, obviously, right now. We just have to Google everything just to find out, what to do, right? What to do in life, look for a job or whatever. So these are the very classic. It's actually this. I'm not trying to showing you the details, but it's more like my own personal sharing, whereby I see like how do I get started. So things like you see, eat a lot of vegetables, change the way you think about meat. It's too complicated, and this is what I had experienced. Then along the journey, I just realized the easier approach on this regarding taking on a plant-based food lifestyle is to just focus on the plant, anything that's coming from a plant and natural. Because, and as just mentioned, Wonder Penguin is focusing on plant-based all natural food, right? This is actually talking about the original. So when people, people ask me, Alibaba, what about this natural? What do you mean by plant-based? I'm always, the answer is always go back to the original form of the food. Take orange, for example, orange versus like a vitamin C or orange juice, we go back to the orange. Why I'm talking about orange? Because if you eat the whole orange, you get the fiber, which is very important. It's a prebiotic for the gut health. So that's why always go back to the original form of that particular food, right? And then the second question that I always face is, how do I get started? How do I start? Okay, the simple answer here is to follow the country system. As I mentioned, I've traveled to 25 countries, right? So whenever I travel, I eat. So I observe, I try to look for the plant-based options that they have. If you look at the so-called before the industrialization or modernization of the diet, right? They tend to have actually a lot of their food component is actually based on plant, right? So I'll show you why. Okay, you look at the muesli in the first place. I used to be a big fan because I used to be a big fan of like raw oats, just raw oats plus a dairy milk. That's how I actually settle my breakfast. But when I traveled to Switzerland, I realized that there's this thing called muesli, and whereby it's a mixture of like a raw oats, different kind of grains, dry fruits, together with the nuts and seeds. These are actually a power pack. So take this for example, because I always tell people, go to the country. I mean, I go try using the country system. every country has its own plant-based food. And then take Italy, for example, ribollita, which is actually a very famous traditional dish whereby they recook the so-called few days old bread together with a lot of vegetables, and then they use like white beans, pinto beans, just to add in the protein. So when people ask about protein, actually you get a lot of that coming from the beans, lentils and stuff. And then take another country, for example, we are familiar with South Korea dishes, bibimbap, whereby you have a lot of rice, vegetables, tofu. Most of the ingredients are actually plant-based. So whenever people ask, hey, Alibaba, how to start? I say, no problem. You just go to the country system. You Google it up, like a plant-based option in Thailand, Indonesia. That's how we get started, right? Okay. We are talking maybe too far, like it's very hard to relate sometimes. Let's go to our home, right? Malaysia. So we have actually is a culture melting pot. We are so lucky that we have a lot of options. So like we have if you like Indian food, they have actually very good source of protein like lentil curries, cauliflower curries, and then it's very flavorful. When people always relate, when we talk about like, for example, people always associate healthy food. It's not tasty food. Actually, it's not. So if you like Indian food, actually that's very good because it has a lot of actually options for you to go, because they have a big vegetarian community. And then even you go to, if you like Malay food, right? Tempeh, which is actually a form of like a soy, a fermented soy cake, is actually a very good source of protein. And then you have bergedil, tau kwa, kangkong. I just list some of the examples that I can find. This is actually how I eat. Like sometimes I just feel like eating maybe Indian food today, I'll go for Indian food. Then I look for the plant-based, and then I go for Malay. And then if you talk about Chinese food, actually I'm featuring a very special dish here, which is actually very common in Perak, and then it's thunder tea, right, which is a herbal tea, and then it's a mixture of peanut, a lot of like vegetables like mustard green. Mustard green is actually like sawi. And then these are the things that's actually very special. And then this is vegetarian, and Chinese do have a very big vegetarian community whereby you can have like a vegetarian specific shop. But to note here, I'm not a big advocate of processed food, right? Sometimes in vegetarian community they have a lot of like a processed meat, right? Mock meat, so to say, MOCK, mock meat, which is actually, I'm not a big supporter for this, because it does have a lot of processed food and everything. So I do advocate for the plant-based natural food. Always go to that, right? Other than that, actually, we can go for like a so-called a superfood. So over here, like these are some of the examples, like things like you can buy now over the counter. You can have a lot of nuts. We are very lucky to have a lot of options in Malaysia, yeah. So things like almond, walnut, hazelnut, like pistachio. If you want to feel a little bit like atas, almonds or walnuts are pretty common. Like if you want to be like go fancy a little bit, there'll be hazelnut, pistachio, and then macadamia pecan. Maybe you just list to put in a chat box, is what are the nuts that actually I missed out here. Things are nuts that you like. Some people say, okay, Brazil nuts. Yeah, it's a kind of nuts. It's actually quite rare, but it's quite you can buy online nowadays. And then comes to seeds, right? You have chia seeds, sunflower seeds, flax seeds, and sesame seeds. Okay, for seeds, right? I just want to put a note, right? I do realize that people just eat the seeds whole, because some of the seeds are actually, you need to be taken in a grounded format. You need to grind the seed before you get things like flaxseed, because it has a very tough outer shell. Once you eat it, it just passes through your stomach. If you don't grind it in the first place, actually you don't absorb the so-called benefits or the nutrients in the seed. So like things like flaxseed and sesame seed, we do actually have to grind it before we eat it. Yeah, again, I mean, question to you, if you have any seeds and that you like that I have not talked, I have not discussed over here, you can actually list it in the chat. And also, when you go to grains, you know, raw oats, I list here rye, buckwheat, quinoa, and these are just some of the examples. In fact, barleys are also kind of carbohydrate. Rice as well, red rice, wild rice. People always get confused when I talk about carbohydrates, because low carbohydrate intake is such a popular thing in everywhere, basically, you know, from the US, Akin diets, all the way to the Asia. Now in China, people are picking up, I need to be low carb. But the question that we need to ask ourselves is, we have been a carb eating nation, especially for the Asian countries, and we are not having an obesity issue. So, and right now in the modern days, actually, we do get a lot of this obesity issue ever since like we advocate a high protein diet. You need to take note of this, right? Actually, protein, it's the so-called the heavy reliance on the meat protein. It's a big issue in the modern days. So when we talk about carbohydrates, we always demonize this category, this broad category. There's actually a good carbohydrate and bad carbohydrate. So I give an example, what is good carbohydrate? So good carbohydrate is those in the original form. Again, plant-based original form. Whatever's coming, you know, these are actually clearly plant-based products. We have actually a lot of options. And then the tricky part is actually we have to eat it in original form. Things like in the whole format, things like, you know, in raw oats, steel cut oats, instead of oat flour, you know, like in the processed form, it means it actually crushed into powder. They actually made it to noodles, you know, they made it actually to bread. Actually, they have to add a lot of preservative just to make it, you know, tasty and everything. But when you go to in the original form, it is a carbohydrate source and an energy source that we need to eat. That's very important. People get confused because we eliminate carb just like that. You know, we don't think, I need to eat more protein, you know. Trust me, the future is fiber. Whether the question that we need to ask ourselves, or whether you need to ask yourself as a parent, are we giving enough fiber to our kids, or are you eating enough fiber? Because the future question is, since you are talking about the future food trend, fiber is more important than protein. Because the protein deficiency is actually a very old problem that happened in the 50s. So this is a fact. Fiber is the future. So where to get fiber is actually all these superfoods. Vegetables, of course. Okay. So this is actually a very important part of diet. You know, the things that, why fiber is taken out of this food is because fiber does cause a lot of like a shelf life instability in the food industry. So as you realize, most of the things that contain fiber does not last very long. So they have to add a lot of preservative. So in the modern food lifestyle, right, actually we are taking a lot of preservative. They extend the shelf life of the product. They add a lot of things inside. So actually we are indirectly consuming, and there's actually lack of data to support that actually whether the long-term consumption of these things will be harming to us. So think that's actually natural, think original form. That is the secret to be healthier, right? So good food, good mood. That's what I've experienced so far since I started the plant-based food journey. So I challenge you, right, to give this a try. Start with a small step. You know, start with a baby step. You don't have to do a complete change. For me, back in 2016, it's just a 100-day challenge. You know, I go meat-free, animal product-free, dairy-free for 100 days. And then I noticed the difference. I felt the difference. That's why I have a strong conviction when I started Wonder Penguin. I want to give the people to prove to people actually eating so-called vegetables, you can be healthy, you can look fantastic, you can feel, you can have a lot of energy. So, yep. And then just to share a little bit more about on my product. So what inspired me to start Wonder Penguin, right? Since I'm I've been in the corporate for so long, right? The thing that I didn't tell you when I first started the journey is I find it hard to find a tasty muesli. That was the first product. Where after I traveled to Switzerland, I experienced that. I came back to Singapore and Malaysia. So I find it difficult, you know, those that on the supermarket is actually very, it's available, but it's not good quality because I've tasted the fresh ones in the cafe and everything. So I started to make and mix myself, produce myself, and I pack this to office. I post on Facebook, that's my breakfast. What do you eat? That kind of stuff. So people are getting curious. What am I eating? You know, it's kind of like very fancy. And then where is this thing? Then I have them started to ask, you know, if I could, you know, sell them. Then that's how I started to call, name it, you know, Wonder Muesli. So I've been traveling. So Wonder, W-A-N-D-R is got to do with a play of word. And then altogether we have so far 12 superfood inside. And then we have actually perfected the recipe and the customers really love the taste, you know, suitable to local taste. And then slowly as I grow the company in the past 2 years, and then we actually, the news got picked up locally by Malay Mail, Yahoo News, and then follow up by Astro AEC, as we realized that actually Wonder Penguin is bringing even healthier options to Malaysia, you know, compared to granola. And we are actually very happy to see people are getting more health conscious about their lifestyle, especially in recent times. You know, people are starting to look into it, like a gut health, you know, looking into more details rather than just like they just want to eat healthy. They want to know like what's inside their food. So these are actually some of the trend that I'm picking. I managed to pick up along the launch of this product. So that's how actually the muesli starting to gain traction, and then we have a lot of regulars that come in. So the next product, actually we have 3 products, and then the second product was actually energy bar. The typical energy bar, the problem that we are facing today is actually they use sugar just to coat everything, to bind everything. So when I have muesli launched, right, and people keep asking, can you just make something like, you know, can you just grab and go? It took me 6 months just to figure out the so-called the technicality. We actually use only almond butter. That's why it's the third product. And then also use this honey. I'm using the Sabah honey right now. With the combination, it becomes like a, you know, it's very sticky. So it managed to stick all the good plant-based ingredients all together. And it's also very convenient because since I cycle a lot, right? So it's not possible just to carry the bag of muesli around. So I have this like in the back of my jersey, I just carrying around, and also very suitable for me if I'm busy. Sometimes I'm heading for meeting in the morning, I'll just grab it instead of muesli. So that's how I actually organically grow this venture. You know, we are still and finally the almond butter, right? Actually we launched it because somebody actually heard about the almond butter that we make is very smooth and silky because we use stone grinding method, and then so it actually all the ingredients can stick together. And yeah, so that's how actually we have currently 3 core products that we have, and it has been here for 1.5 years, and then and growing. And we have actually a lot of like you know, customers, like they have actually become like customers, become regulars, eventually friends. They endorse our product over the social media, and then they are proudly to show that, you know, it's actually a homegrown brand, and they have actually been on the journey with us. So that's how actually we grow as a brand, right? All our products until today are still small batch production, and freshness is the key to all natural food. As I mentioned, if you notice that I actually emphasize a lot of the tasty, because there's a misconception when it comes to the tasty food. It doesn't have to be no, sorry, I beg your pardon. Healthy food doesn't mean we have like taste blend or whatever. So actually we realize that actually freshness is very important. So we do make to order, and then many of the customers just like the freshness of the product. Actually, they have compared it to, you know, off the shelf. These are the products actually, I mean, imported product actually they are just not as fresh because they need to be set on the shelf before it's picked up, right? So actually the freshness is very important. So yeah, this is actually consider, I know we basically how I started Wonder Penguin, supported by the local and everything. So, well, to wrap it up, right? I want to thank you all for spending the afternoon with me. I really hope the sharing today that will inspire you to take care of your health, particularly in this time, and also look into your health around your people. Those that actually who have been and maybe taking care of themselves is not their priority. Please share with them. Please give plant-based a try. It doesn't have to be a complete change. Like I mentioned earlier, start with a baby step. Perhaps start with a breakfast, because everything needs to have a good start, right? First meal first. You can actually replace this with muesli or even a plain oatmeal porridge, right? Well, I end this with wishing you a good health. Eat consciously, live joyfully, and if you want to start your first step, why not just pop over to wonderpenguin.com.my, which is actually the website. It's at the bottom of the slide. And so thank you, everybody. I will pass it back to you, Jas.
Hi, yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Alibaba, for your time today and good sharing regarding plant-based. Now we will be answering Q&A session now, which we was receiving through the Q&A button below. Okay, Mr. Alibaba will guide us on answering the questions. Okay, the first question, let me look into it. So he said, can I know what's your favorite plant-based restaurant in Malaysia?
Oh, what's my favorite plant-based restaurant in Malaysia? In fact, I have many. I don't have particularly one plant-based restaurant. There's no one go-to, but it's more like I'm always open to explore what do they have in terms of plant-based, even a non-plant-based. Sometimes it's a normal shop. Take like our favorite nasi kandar, for example. Sometimes you go inside the shop, right? They may have like interesting surprises that you can find it in store. Things like, because I think if I want to recall, one of the actually the very fond memories actually I went into, because chickpea is very normal, right? Like chickpea masala is a very typical dish. But when I went into this like a very typical nasi kandar store, actually it has more meat than the so-called the plant-based dishes. But the dish that actually I remember until today is actually the smaller version of the chickpeas. I don't know what's that called. I couldn't remember, but it tastes like peanut. It's so crunchy and I like it so much. They cook it with masala. It's dry. So I had it with actually a piece of tofu, and then that's how I actually my answer is actually to explore different, just like your neighborhood store. Start with your neighborhood store. There's no one single restaurant that I like. Yeah.
Yes. They just wanted to know ideas so that they also will go and hop into the shop.
Oh yeah, go to your neighborhood. You may find surprises. Like I said, plant versus the original form. So it can be any if you feel like eating Indian today, go to the Indian store. If you feel like eating Malay food, you go to Malay food, because Malay food actually surprises me the most. I mean, honestly, I find there's a lot of fried chicken, but when I went into it, I realized that they have like bamboo shoots, things like because it's very difficult, because the audience are white in Malaysia, right? So I'm based in Penang. Sometimes I go to KL. So there's like no one single restaurant. So yeah, I'll leave the so-called the participants to have to creatively think about the options that they have. So make it exciting rather than just a single restaurant that they got to go to.
Yes.
Otherwise, so that's my so-called experience. Until today, I'm still practicing. I'm still exploring different places. Yeah.
Okay, for the second question, or this question, I think everyone wants to know. Even you have mentioned before, just now in your slides, you said, "Can I know if we could lose weight by consuming only plant-based food?"
Okay.
Even I also want to know that.
That's a very interesting question, right? I mean, of course, I would mention that please go to the website, buy 10 bags of muesli, eat it every meal. That's my ideal question. No, I'm just joking. Well, it depends actually very much depending on the lifestyle that you're having. Sometimes, you know, like there are little snacks that you're taking. The plant-based definitely will help you to lose weight if you know how to eat it right. So quick tip, you know, plant-based whole food, ideally oil-free, you know, these are actually the three key points you can take away. So if you want to really, because by increasing the fiber, you can actually, you can lose weight. But having said that, there's also other factors play into your, you know, your lifestyle. Whether that person is smoking, you know, whether are they doing exercising, are they drinking a lot of beer? Technically, beer, alcohol is all natural. So this can get into like losing weight is not about food. Of course, food is the big part. Food is a big part, because I saw a chat, is alcohol considered plant-based? So that is interesting. I would like to pick that up and answer later. Yeah, so it's actually a multiple component. So definitely it will help you to lose weight, increase your fiber intake. But sometimes if you go to the shop, right, then you ask for all the vegetables and then you slam with all the curries and everything, that's not helpful. So that's just another tip for the participants here. Yeah, definitely it will help, right?
Okay, the next question is about you. I think they want to know that can I know what makes you venture into plant-based food?
Oh, it's a,
Maybe they want to know the benefit. Why are you venturing into the platform?
yeah, because I can see that there's a gap, especially in Malaysia market, because a fact for the floor, I mean, I'm not too sure if like the participants are all Malaysian. I'm not too sure. So actually Malaysians is actually uh, the place in Southeast Asia, we are considered the most obese nation. Actually, we are quite unhealthy to a certain extent. And there's a gap in terms of we actually lacking of the knowledge of how to eat healthy and how to live a healthy life. Because when I always explore and talk about losing weight, people always talk about health supplement, but they never venture into, okay, how can I have a healthier lifestyle to lose weight? They always talk about, okay, I need to eat this supplement, you know, need to have this protein powder, I have to replace my meal just to lose weight. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. We have to actually stick it to the, you know, the future. In the Western country, people have been talking about, you know, going through lifestyle change is more important, because when it comes to mindset, actually, it's very hard to fight the fried chicken, right? So that's the thing. I mean, we have a lot of tasty food, but tasty doesn't mean it's healthy. So now I want to change that. I want to make healthy food tasty. So that's the main thing. So I realized that there's a big gap in terms of in this market. So actually, I want to introduce people, you know, inspire them to start, not to actually inspire them to just to buy my products, but inspire them in a healthy lifestyle. Because I myself personally, I'm a very active cyclist. You know, all my things actually, they always think about when they come to Alibaba, and that guy is a healthy guy. You know, he just talk about plant-based, pokok power, and everything. So, yep.
Okay, so the next question, I think from the same attendees. So I will tell the answer question for the same attendees. First one is, what are your expertise in plant-based food space? And also another question from the same attendee is, you have knowledge in nutrition dense ingredients, recipe R&D, commercial product and machineries. Which you want
All
to
right.
know
So
more about?
these are questions coming from Selena, right?
Yes, Miss Selena, and also on alternative meat. So she would like to know more on that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Let me just answer one by one. So I
Yeah.
have plant-based expert certification by Cornell University. So this is actually the certification that I took together with Cornell University. And then for the knowledge in the nutrients, then ingredients, recipe R&D, I think pretty much actually you can find more information over my website. Because if you talk about the nutrient density and, you know, per calories, plant-based natural food has the best options. And then on alternative meat, right? The long and short answer for this is actually a complicated one, because they need to make it tasty. Hence, they have a lot of flavor enhancer. And since it's like they try to make it as natural as possible, and things that they put it in, sometimes I may not like fully agree, because things like they need to extend the shelf life. So I always go for like if you can just make your own patty. So therefore you can consider it healthier because they tend to have a higher saturated fat content. Yeah, that's the answer for Selena.
Yep. Okay, the next question is, what's your opinion on plant-based milk, as we can't get it in original form? It is as good as cow milk in terms of its nutrition value?
Well, okay, plant-based milk is actually in the pipeline because locally I have been actually making almond milk to sell in my, because I have
Oh, great.
so that's actually what the space that I'm lacking as well. I'm missing my milk because I'm lactose intolerant. So if you compare milk all together, it has a different nutrient profile. As I mentioned in my presentation earlier, the benefit of following a plant-based food is actually the options. You're not limiting yourself only in almond milk. If you're actually following the alternative milk scene, you have like quinoa milk in the pipeline, which is very popular in the Western countries. Quinoa milk. They have rice milk. These are actually having a different nutrient profile, which actually dairy cannot replace. Dairy just have like B12. They have just about so-called protein, right? Because the dairy industry would like to emphasize the importance of this, but actually we can get this if like having different choices of plant-based milk. So in terms of nutrient, actually you're getting more compared to dairy.
Okay, that's great. And yeah, everyone, two of the people would like, two of the attendees would like to know, are you planning to open any plant-based restaurant?
Okay. Thanks, Raj, for the question. I guess I'm not so soon. I mean, it's a very good question. Plant-based restaurant.
Yes.
So
The idea, like an idea.
yeah. As I mentioned, actually we have a lot of like a plant-based options around. It's just that we have to be open about it because they don't label it as plant-based restaurant. Sometimes they call it nasi kandar, but inside if you go there, you have bendi, kubis,
Yes.
bean curd and everything. Like just I mentioned the special chickpea that I experienced, I remember until today.
Yeah, maybe they are looking at the specific for plant-based only, that is not
Yeah. Sometimes you
so
got to
fine. Yes.
go, then you have convinced, right?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So we go to a more important. Okay.
I see
Question is.
actually a B6, B12 questions that I would like to answer. Is it okay,
Yes.
Jess?
Yes. Sure. Carry on.
Okay, regarding B6 and B12, right, it's actually a very interesting one because these are actually vegetarian or people who are following a plant-based food diet, they have to watch out for. So B12 you actually can get from supplement because you don't get this from this the food itself. So these are actually the only gap that you take note. So I do take like those in the natural form, it doesn't have. That's the only gap that we are facing. We may have to take it in the supplement form. That's my comment. So if you want to mix it, actually, you have to take like this yeast, this yeast in the bread. So that's how you address the B6 and B12 gap.
Okay. So, and next question, which is interesting, they would like to, may I know what's the difference between keto diet and plant-based diet?
Okay. Very good question, but it can take about 2 hours just to explain this.
Just a short one that has
very good
points
question.
that
Okay.
they can directly go into it. Yeah.
Keto diet can be in the form of plant-based, right? But it's a very challenging one. But keto is focusing a lot of like a low carbs, but a lot of actually a natural food is actually it has carbohydrate in it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sharing from my personal experience because actually keto diet is designed for in the past it's designed for people with certain illnesses, and is popularized by the so-called the Western culture. Based on whatever based on the knowledge that I have until today, it may not be suitable for everyone because it relies it focuses a lot of consumption of like things that are high in fat or actually meat based. So these are the things, if you want to convert to like a plant based things, is actually you only resort yourself only to nuts or seeds, which is actually kind of difficult because as I mentioned, give this plant-based a try rather than just focusing on pure keto, because I know keto is the new low carb. So it's popularized by this Western media again. I mean, all this, like I call it fat diet and FAD diet. It's actually, it doesn't just survive very long. So yeah, we have to take note. Actually, we focus on whatever that Mother Nature can give us. That's very important. You know, we don't try to eat because we Asian, actually, we have been eating a lot of, like, it's a carb eating nation, and then we don't have any issues until we start to have, like, we are bombarded by the so-called the propaganda or the advertisement, you know, like keto, carb. So that's my principles when I'm advising people, when people asking me keto diet. So that's my comment.
Yeah, some are carried away because of the advertisement and everything, right?
In fact, it's a very effective way of, but it's not sustainable, because if you look around, there's a lot of stuff, you know, that we want to enjoy. But if you limit yourself just to, you know, a few items in keto, you know, if you are following keto, it's not practical. So yeah, it's kind of like, you know, it affects your mood and everything.
Okay, there's few questions coming in. I must see which
Right.
one is important. Okay, is there any risk in eating or taking plant-based food? Any risk if they're consuming too much or something like that?
Well, as what the doctors like to say, right? Everything in moderation. The best thing is, actually, it's very difficult to over consume vegetables, you see. There's so much fiber in it. Like, how many bowls of vegetables or rice can you actually eat?
No.
I have the tendency of maybe overeating, like cheese and everything, but calorie dense stuff. But when you move yourself to like a plant-based food, it's actually very difficult to overconsume, you know. Like things like, the only side effect sometimes I personally have it is, actually you have to go to like a toilet many times because you have too much fiber in your system. Yeah. So there's minimal risk, right? I mean, we don't overdo everything, you know. Like sometimes we may get carried away. People think like, oh, the next big thing, you know, oatmeal is good because like Oatly now is, I mean, I'm just quote one brand is good. Like you try to drink it like the whole carton in one day, it doesn't make sense. You know, everything of like, even it's healthy, too much is also a bad thing. Take vitamin C, for example, right? Vitamin C, there's orange juice and everything. If you drink too much, there's also too much calories in it. Yeah, so too much of everything. I think the classic advice by the doctor, you know, everything in moderation.
Moderation, yes.
Yeah,
That is
so
the base.
the
That
best
is
part
the
is,
best, yes. Best practice that we can practice. We can't take too much, don't take too less. So just in the middle.
Yes. But having said that, but sometimes, you know, moderation, people get to, like, you know, people misquantify moderation. Like nowadays, like maybe 3 pieces of fried chicken is moderation. When I talk about moderation, 3 pieces it could be a quota for the month. Maybe I take about three pieces a month. Yeah, but maybe people take like 1 day 3 pieces. So it's really depending, right? So yeah, so it's just like people ask, what's the volume? Just eat a little bit of everything. Comes to plant-based, that's the best thing, because you get to experience different flavor, you know, like you get different experience from the food itself.
Yes, okay. So there's another question. Plant-based food. How to handle when it comes to eat it in raw form?
How to come? Okay.
It comes to eat in a raw form, because some are the products which is already ready to eat. And then some are the raw. So how is it?
It really much depending what kind of food are we talking about. So sometimes, like things like raw oats, the grains is already in the ready to eat form. Like for example, take my own muesli, for example. We actually bake it just to make sure that you know, things are already properly cooked, right? Things especially like it really is really much depending on the food that we are talking about. So like maybe salads, you can eat it in a raw form. So if you may I know that who actually who asked this question? Maybe you can add in like which specific food that he or she is asking for, so actually I can answer in a better.
It's anonymous. Did not mention any name that I can mention.
Oh, okay. So it's like a so-called anonymous question.
Yes, anonymous. Yes, correct. Okay, another one. Okay,
Is
this.
alcohol considered plant-based?
This Miss Tansilo, she asked for 2 times. She asked regarding the same question. We say, where can I consult plant-based manufacturers? If you can come up with any answer on that.
Plant-based manufacturer.
Or plant-based manufacturer or plant-based product, easy to find on directly. Where can we get it?
Well, actually, the best thing actually is look for me. So, so you can go to the website. Actually, we are on Instagram. Actually, you can find me fairly easily over Instagram, alibaba.ong. So, and wonderpenguin.my. So I will just try to put it. You can actually look for me over there. We can talk more about this.
Yes. Okay. And this interesting question: is alcohol considered plant-based?
Yes.
Yes. So happily, yes.
Okay. As you know, everyone has their vice, right? I mean, I just have to be very authentic over here, right? I like I said, I drink, but I don't drink a lot. It's just that, like just a little bit. Like it's considered like plant-based, but it's out of the category. It doesn't make sense because it's alcohol, it's toxic. So I
think as you mentioned, the moderate.
so we
So
talk about
people
health,
moderate
like,
all different.
no,
Yes.
there's no alcohol considered moderation. Alcohol is bad. So
no, I mean everyone will think like that. Oh, I think this is fine. This is not fine. No, the way they take
I mean, personal story, right?
Yes.
When the doctors mentioned to my uncle moderation, doctor means like 1 serving, but my uncle think about it's like 3 serving. So it's not healthy at all. So my advice is like, if can, don't do it. If it's just for the occasional, it's okay. It's not considered plant-based. It's toxic.
Yes, yes. Okay, so I think we will answer the question, last question for the day. Okay, let's see what is the interesting question. Okay, just now you mentioned in your presentation, did you mention that Mr. Raj asking this question? Did you say that your Wonder Bar contains honey?
Yes.
So it contains honey, yeah?
So as I mentioned, the thing is we need something to actually natural that can actually bind all the superfood together. So the challenge is always like not to use this so-called sugar. Sugar is a very straightforward material. So honey is natural, so we use honey.
Okay, so that was our last question. And if we miss, because of the time doesn't allow, so if there's any question that we missed out, so you can send it to, you can look at the chat box. We are giving the email mifb@sphereexhibits.com.my, and then we will pass it to Mr. Alibaba, and he will guide you from there. Okay, and thank you so much once again, Mr. Alibaba, for the great presentation today. We are glad to have you for this webinar. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, before we end the session today, we will just want to inform our upcoming webinar. Our upcoming webinar will be next week, which is 27 May on 3 p.m. Link will be given in the chat box for you to register for the upcoming webinar. Okay, thank you once again, and stay tuned for our upcoming webinars. Have a great day ahead and stay safe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.